What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Wise Gunner, where we break down the gear that matters. Today, we're talking about something I know a lot of folks are excited about. My personal picks for the top 5 pistols you can get for under $300. After running each of these handguns through at least 1,000 rounds at the range, I've narrowed it down to the ones that truly stood out. To make this list, a pistol had to check a few important boxes. It has to be dependable, accurate, lightweight, and beginner-friendly. It also has to be easy to track down, no obscure imports or discontinued unicorns. While every pistol I mention was purchased for less than $300, keep in mind that prices are always shifting, and I'll flag any major changes. Lastly, each of these needs to serve multiple roles, whether that's concealed carry, defending your home, or just putting rounds on paper at the range. Let's get into it. Here are my top affordable pistols under the $300 mark. Kicking things off at number 5 is a handgun that tends to fly under the radar, the Stoger STR9. This is one of those pistols that quietly delivers even if it hasn't earned the same spotlight as some better-known names. That's a little surprising to me considering how much it brings to the table. What we've got here is a 9mm striker-fired pistol with a polymer frame, a familiar setup if you've spent any time in the world of modern handguns. But the STR9 sets itself apart in a few key areas. For starters, Stoger offers it in several different configurations. Whether you want multiple magazines, interchangeable backstraps, or even an optic-ready slide right out of the box, this pistol gives you options. That last feature is something you almost never see in this price category, especially under the $300 line. Standard features include 3-dot sights and an accessory rail, so whether you're into mounting a flashlight for bedside duty or tossing on a laser for daytime range fun, you've got room to customize. It ships with a double-stack magazine holding 15 rounds, which is pretty typical for a compact service-style pistol. You're looking at a 4-inch barrel and an overall weight just under 30 ounces. While that's a little heavier than some other polymer-framed handguns, it actually helps soak up recoil, which translates to smoother, more comfortable shooting. On the range, this pistol holds its own. It's got front slide serrations for easy press checks, a nicely cut trigger guard, aggressive grip texture, and a takedown system that's clearly inspired by the Glock platform. Southpaws will also appreciate the reversible magazine release. In terms of reliability, the STR9 performed reasonably well for me. I fired 800 rounds through mine and only had 2 malfunctions. Not flawless, but honestly, for a budget-friendly handgun, that's solid. And the best part? I scored mine for just $200 at my local Scheels before the prices bumped up. Nowadays, you'll probably find them going for somewhere between $250 and $300, which is still a killer deal for what you're getting. Now, why is this one sitting at number 5 and not higher on the list? The biggest drawbacks are that it's not made here in the United States and, more importantly, Stoger's quality control isn't quite on par with top-tier names like Glock. While a company like Glock is probably hitting 99.9% consistency across their line, Stoger might be closer to 99.7%. Not a massive difference, but enough to mention if you're serious about performance. Coming in at number 4 on the list is a pistol from a brand that's been gaining serious traction in the firearms community, the Canic TP9 series. Specifically, I'm talking about the Elite SC model. Now, I'll be upfront. This is the priciest option on today's lineup. When I picked mine up, it ran me about $305 after tax, and since then, the market has pushed the price up closer to $350. That's exactly why I mentioned earlier that prices can shift. This pistol is the reason for that disclaimer. Technically, it's a bit of a cheat since full-size TP9 models can still be found for between $250 and $300, depending on where you shop. But in my opinion, the Elite SC hits the sweet spot in terms of value, features, and performance, which is why it earns its place on this list. This one's a striker-fired, polymer frame 9mm, and while that's a familiar formula, what sets this pistol apart is how much it offers straight out of the box. It ships with 2 magazines, one holds 12 rounds and the other holds 15. And if you happen to be in a state with magazine capacity restrictions, they do offer 10-round versions as well. The real standout here? This thing is optic-ready right from the factory and includes a set of mounting plates to fit most red dots. That's a rare feature in this price bracket, especially in a compact carry gun. Now let's talk about how it looks and feels. The tungsten Cerakote finish gives it a classy, two-tone appearance. The trigger safety is highlighted in red, which not only looks sharp but adds some visual feedback for safety. It comes with aggressive front slide serrations, a finely textured grip, and honestly one of the best factory triggers you'll find on any handgun under $400. The iron sights deserve a mention too. Warren tactical fiber optic front sight, paired with a blacked-out rear that's cut for one-handed slide manipulation. That means you can run the slide off your belt, boot heel, or even a hard surface if you need to. It also comes with interchangeable backstraps, a Picatinny accessory rail, a holster, and a loaded chamber indicator. Southpaws aren't left out either. This pistol features ambidextrous controls that are easy to work from either hand. So, why isn't it ranked higher? Well, while it's packed to the brim with useful features, it does have a small hiccup in the reliability department. After running 1,000 rounds through mine, I ran into 2 malfunctions. Not a deal breaker, but just enough to drop it out of the top 3. Generally, Canic pistols have a solid reputation for dependability. But there's one thing you need to know: these handguns are originally tuned for 124-grain NATO spec ammunition. If you're feeding it 115-grain American target loads like Fiocchi, Winchester White Box, or American Eagle, you may occasionally experience failures to cycle. Why? The recoil spring is calibrated for the hotter stuff. Lighter loads just don't create enough pressure to cycle the slide consistently. There are a few simple fixes: either break the recoil spring in by storing the slide locked back for a few days, swap in a slightly lighter spring, or just run a few hundred rounds of hotter ammo through it until everything smooths out. Once it's broken in properly, the Elite SC is a rock-solid performer. I still highly recommend it because it's just that good to shoot. The trigger is phenomenal, the sights are dialed in, and the ergonomics make follow-up shots easy and intuitive. Whether you're using it for concealed carry or setting it up for home defense, this pistol gives you a lot of capability without requiring a major investment. For a subcompact 9mm, it offers an excellent balance between portability, power, and shootability, making it a smart choice for shooters who want high performance without breaking the bank. Taking the number 3 spot is a slim, single-stack subcompact that's perfect for everyday carry, the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield. This one brings a little variety to the list. You can go with the original first-generation Shield, which is easier on the wallet, or you could step up to the 2.0 version, which improves on a few key details for just a bit more cash. The great news is that both models still regularly sell for under $300, making them great value choices. Like most handguns in this roundup, the Shield is a striker-fired, polymer-framed 9mm, but it's sized for concealment, sporting a 3-inch barrel and tipping the scales at just 20 ounces. That kind of weight, or lack of it, makes it almost disappear when you're carrying it. It ships standard with a 7+1 capacity, which might seem a bit low, but aftermarket extended magazines are readily available if you want more rounds on board. Between the two versions, the 2.0 model has a noticeably better trigger feel, but even the earlier model gets the job done. What really stands out on both is the aggressive grip texture, which gives you solid control and confidence while shooting. Even though it's marketed for concealed carry, it's just big enough that you could comfortably use it for home defense or as a first pistol for new shooters. Here's the thing: a lot of new gun owners are drawn to the smallest possible pistol, thinking it'll be easiest to handle. But that's not always the case. Tiny guns tend to be snappier and harder to shoot well. The Shield strikes a near-perfect balance between compactness and controllability. It's available with or without a thumb safety, so you can pick the version that suits your preference. It's also simple to operate, ergonomically sound, and most importantly, very dependable. Among single-stack subcompacts, it's one of the most proven pistols on the market. Accuracy is surprisingly good, too. I've personally hit targets at 100 yards using the 2.0 model, which is pretty wild for a pistol with such a short barrel. Another major plus with the Shield is the enormous aftermarket support. It's been out long enough that holsters, magazines, and upgrades are everywhere. I always recommend having at least 4 magazines per firearm, and for this model, that's easy to achieve. Mags are inexpensive and easy to find, whether you're shopping online or stopping into a local gun store. If you want a no-fuss, concealable, and reliable sidearm that doubles as a home defense option, the M&P Shield is an easy recommendation. Now for number 2, we've got a budget-friendly workhorse that's earned its reputation through sheer performance, the Taurus G2C and its slightly larger sibling, the G3. I'll focus mostly on the G2C, but know that the G3 brings very similar features, just with a longer barrel and a little more size. When it comes to reliable handguns that won't empty your wallet, it's hard to beat the series. Both models are polymer-framed, striker-fired 9mm pistols that offer a ton of value for the price. You'll usually find them packaged with 2 magazines, a 15-rounder and a 17-rounder, though 10-round magazines are available if you live in a more restrictive state. With a 4-inch barrel and a weight of about 24 ounces, the G3 hits that perfect middle ground, compact enough to conceal but large enough to serve as a home defense tool. I picked mine up for just $219, and while deals that good aren't always around, you can definitely still grab one for under $250 if you shop smart. Aside from the price, the G2C and G3 models come with features usually found on more expensive firearms. There's a Picatinny rail for mounting lights or lasers, a crisp and surprisingly smooth trigger, and a user-friendly magazine release that makes reloads quick. You also get front slide serrations that make it easy to manipulate the slide, even in less than ideal conditions. If you want to customize, the aftermarket has stepped up. You can add mag extensions, swap in fiber optic sights, or go with other upgrades to make the gun your own. I personally upgraded the sights on mine, and the improvement in target acquisition was immediate. While holster options aren't quite as abundant as for the M&P Shield, they're still easy to find. A quick note, this pistol does include a manual safety, but if you're not a fan, you can always just leave it disengaged. The Glock-style takedown system also makes it simple to disassemble and clean. If you're new to firearms, proper maintenance is critical. Clean and lubricate it often and it'll run like a champ. For anyone looking for a new handgun under $250 that can pull double duty as a defensive tool, a range pistol, or just something fun to shoot, the Taurus G2C or G3 delivers more than its price tag suggests. Claiming the number one spot might seem like bending the rules a bit, but let's be honest, no list of top-tier budget handguns under $300 would be complete without this entry. I'm talking about used models of the first-generation Smith & Wesson M&P or the third-generation Glock 17 or Glock 19. These pistols are everywhere, and with a little patience, you can almost always find one in solid condition for under $300 at your local pawn shop, gun store, or online marketplace. Let's pause for a second and talk about buying used firearms. For some reason, a lot of people hesitate when it comes to second-hand guns, but that's always been a head-scratcher to me. Folks buy used vehicles every day without batting an eye. So if you're okay picking up a 2004 Honda Civic or a Volvo 850, then you should feel just as confident buying a quality firearm that's built to run for decades. Now, if we're talking about collectible classics like a 1911, an M1 carbine, or a Colt 1873, sure, you'll want to do a little more homework. But for modern duty pistols like the M&P or a Glock, the risk is minimal and the payoff is big. Let's start with the third-generation Glock. These things are known to chew through anywhere from 10,000 to 50,000 rounds without flinching, and that's not some internet myth. There are thousands of shooters out there who can back that up with real-world experience. You're getting a platform that's not just reliable but absolutely battle-proven, with a track record that includes law enforcement, military, and civilian defense use all over the globe. One of the biggest downsides with ultra-budget handguns is the potential for inconsistent quality control. That's just not something you'll deal with when you buy a used Glock or Smith & Wesson M&P. These firearms have passed rigorous testing and have decades of real-world use under their belt. What you're getting is combat-grade reliability in a platform that's been vetted in the harshest conditions imaginable. And here's the real kicker, the aftermarket support is unmatched. There is no other handgun under $300 that gives you this level of flexibility. Whether you want extended mags, optic-ready slides, upgraded barrels, custom triggers, night sights, or even just a different backstrap, the options are endless. Magazines are dirt cheap, available in every size, and found in pretty much every gun store in America. And when it comes to holsters, there's something for every carry style, from Kydex to leather, inside the waistband or duty-style rigs. Now, both platforms follow that familiar polymer frame, striker-fired, 9mm formula. But unlike many newer budget pistols, you're not gambling on build quality or long-term reliability. If you prefer a manual safety, the M&P gives you that option. If not, the Glock keeps things minimal and snag-free. If I had to choose between compact and full-sized versions, I'd go with the full-sized every time. They're easier to control, have better recoil management, and usually come with 15 to 17 round magazines. Most used models even ship with 3 mags included, so you're ready to rock right out of the gate. Here's the bottom line: if all the handguns on this list were laid out in front of me and I had to pick one without hesitation, I'd walk straight to a used 3rd generation Glock 17. It's the pistol I started with, it's never let me down, and even in the rare chance something goes wrong, parts are so widely available and cheap that you can have it back in working order the same day. And that wraps up my picks for the best handguns you can buy for under $300. If you're with me, give that like button a tap. If you've got your own list, post it in the comments. I'd love to hear what budget-friendly blasters you trust. And don't forget, subscribe for more honest gear breakdowns, range reports, and shooting tips. Stay sharp out there, and as always, be ready.